represents the tree of life. They've always believed that. The presence of God in the midst of them. That's what they make the menorah. It's made out of one solid piece of gold. And David says, the word is a lamp unto my feet. And Solomon says, wisdom is a tree of life. And it just represents the oneness, which we have focused on greatly, because it's all one piece.
Yes.
And a tree is, and I'll go into it, but a tree is, puts its own branches. People don't add the branches.
Right.
So it is oneness. But the thing that came to me this morning, and it's such a crazy world, but the menorah is a perfect picture of the balance of God. So it's always balanced. And Jesus said in John 15, I am the vine and you are the branches. So he's the shamash, the middle one, which is a servant candle, and we're the rest. So the interesting thing for us having a vineyard is we have tried, we've bought vines that are called grafted, and they're grafted to make them stronger, because they take, a vine will have a weakness, and they'll graft a vine that doesn't have that weakness to it to help it be stronger. So that was always very amazing. And we have attempted doing our own grafting, and it is not an easy process, but we'll keep working on that too. So, in 520 BC, Haggai prophesied a blessing for the 24th day of Kislev. And around that same time, Zechariah prophesied in Zechariah 4:1-7 that there would be an addition of 2 more lamps to the menorah. And the interesting part is it says, not by might nor by power, but by my spirit. So it was a total God thing that got added. And then the interesting thing that he said is grace, grace. Right. Those 2 extra lamps represent grace.
Love it.
The 7 represent the law, which is the word of God. And then so that was 520 BC, and then 165 BC is about when the Maccabee story happened. So this is another little interesting fact. The early believers were called Nothrain. They were recognized as the Netzar, the branch from the root of Jesse, the live shoot from the green tree. It all goes back. I mean, this is just the physical example of that, which I just think that's so cool. That's what we were called early on, was Nothrain.
Love it.
So,
awesome.
in John 1:4, it says, in him was the life, and the life was the light of men. Jesus was the Torah incarnate, from whom sprang the primordial light that was manifested when God first spoke his word. So, back to God's balance. So, our balance comes in our oneness. That's what it's about. Oneness with Jesus, and the rest that was the free gift. Jesus fulfilled the law, but when we are out of balance, which is simply realizing our oneness with him and the free gift that he gave us, and look to the outside for comfort, and that's when we get out of balance, is when we stop realizing our oneness with him. So what has to happen is then the law has to kick in, and it's just to bring us back to balance. It's not to punish us, It's not to say we're bad, it's just like, if you eat too much sugar, you will possibly be diabetic, and it's just about balance. It's not about punishment. If you drink too much, you could be an alcoholic and ruin your liver. It's all about balance. It's not punishment, which is such a neat thing, because in the last few years, the grace stuff came out, and you're always trying to figure out how does that work, and it's about balance. So this year, as I'm looking at my menorah, I do see the light, Jesus, but also, most of all, in these interesting times we live in, I'm seeing my oneness and the life of rest I have in him. that revelation just is so sweet and causes me to light up. Because, yes, we have so much that we can do in this earth to help, but really God will bring the balance in these interesting times. And so as I've been looking at my menorah, I can rest in that
Yeah.
that He wins and He brings the balance.
Love it.
Yeah.
Wow.